Just over a week ago, the Buffalo Bills had another heartbreaking loss to the Kansas City Chiefs in the NFL playoffs. Final score being 27-24, and more unfortunate for the Bills, they were at home in this game, and they easily could have won it. Just unfortunately, some things did not go their way, and here we are. Granted, this is about a week, like I said, after this game occurred, so the Super Bowl has already been decided, actually. But yeah, just really another unfortunate loss in the Bills' quest to finally reach the promised land and try and finally get themselves a Super Bowl title for their franchise after having a very unlucky chain of events back in the 1990s, where they went to 4 straight Super Bowls and unfortunately lost all of them. So definitely, like I said, definitely a heartbreaker. But there is still hope for this franchise, as they still have their franchise quarterback in Josh Allen, a number 1 wide receiver in Stephon Diggs, as well as plenty of guys on the defense and on the offense as well, such as rookie Dalton Kincaid, tight end out of Utah, as well as Tre'Davious White, and safeties Jordan Poyer, Micah Hyde, as well as others, to at least hopefully try and get this team over the hump finally, and like I said, finally get them a Super Bowl win. So welcome everybody to the Buffalo Bills franchise here on the channel. I've been kind of wanting to do a franchise series like this for a little bit now, and I figured that I might as well start with a team that really is they're very, very close. Like I just said, they're very close to getting that Super Bowl title, and unfortunately the last couple of years they've just fallen short, and obviously they're no strangers to heartbreak. Like I said, they had a bad track record, unfortunately, back in the 90s, where they went to 4 straight Super Bowls and fortunately couldn't get the job done. But like I said, they still have a lot of talent on their roster, and almost way too much talent for them to even be, considered out of contention, honestly. Just unfortunately, certain teams such as the Kansas City Chiefs and in the case last year, the Cincinnati Bengals, prevented the Bills from even getting close to the AFC Championship game and therefore the Super Bowl. But hopefully that change is starting today, as I will take over this team and try and do what they have been unable to do in their franchise's history, and finally get themselves a Super Bowl ring and bring a Lombardi trophy finally to the city of Buffalo, after as really I feel like they've probably been one of the teams that deserves it the most, especially in recent years. So with that all out of the way, I guess we can just start off some things here by kind of what we're gonna do. The way this is gonna work is we're gonna kind of do it I'm gonna go kind of more in depth and kind of figuring out how we want to adjust this team's roster, and how we want to just move forward with, like, who do we want to draft, who we want to do this and that. I actually have created myself a little spreadsheet here to, as well as keep track of things more easier than me having to go through all the different menus and inside the game itself, because it just takes a little bit too much time then. But yeah, we're just going to start with that, and we'll go from there. So I guess the first thing we should do here is, obviously, as you can see, I have the game there, 27-24. That was actually a simulation. The game actually, if I would have simmed this game, it probably would not have been that score, but I decided to make it at least somewhat accurate. So obviously you can see that the loss to the Chiefs is there, and it's actually accurate. I mean, now granted, the in-game stats aren't accurate, but then again, playoff stats don't really matter unless you're just comparing 2 players and whatnot. So it looks like here we got contract extension for Sean McDermott, which makes sense, because he's arguably one of the best coaches the Bills have had in their history, only behind their former coach Mark Levy, who led them to those 4 Super Bowls back in the 90s. with quarterback Jim Kelly and some other main stars such as Bruce Smith and can't think of some others, but anyway, so obviously well deserved to keep Sean McDermott around. I personally think they should keep Sean McDermott around, and actually in real life too, they just retained one of their offensive coordinators, or their offensive coordinator, excuse me, that they brought in at mid-season after firing Ken Dorsey, who was their offensive coordinator previously. And so far, their new offensive coordinator, or current one, I should say now, Joe Brady, actually kind of did a little bit of a better job with helping Josh Allen and this Bills offense, come back from being down 6-6 and out of the playoff picture, and help them climb their way back to an AFC East title, just passing the Miami Dolphins. And unfortunately, obviously, they couldn't get the job done this year. But like I said, hopefully we'll try and change that starting today. So obviously, first thing we're going to do is, obviously with this thing being technically in the playoffs already, this would have made more sense for this to start at the beginning of the season. But I just felt like starting at this point in the year would make more sense. So with that said, we're going to start with choosing a draft class for this franchise. And I have gone back and forth on this. I have thought about just keeping auto-generated rookies, or using a user-created file to actually get the real-life rookies from this upcoming 2024 draft class. And like I said, I've gone back and forth on this decision many times. And because as much as it would be nice to kind of, use the 2024 draft class, I mean, just to kind of, see what talent is, like real life talent and whatnot. It would also be kind of cool to see if we can find any just randomly generated, auto-generated rookies, and who might be even better than what is created in the user-created draft class. But then again, if we do use a user-generated draft class, that'll be the only one we use for this entire franchise. And if we ever do future drafts, we would use auto-generated rookies, and we set the draft class strength and whatnot. Something you really can't do if you're using a user-generated class, or user-created class, excuse me. So I think what we're going to do, at least for this first draft, is I think we're going to go ahead and we're going to use a user-generated or user-created class. I have a couple here already, and I'm trying to think of which one is decent. And actually, you know what? I think we're going to use this one here from earlier this past month. It's probably not the complete accurate, but then again, we can change it if we want to. So let's just see who's here. So obviously we have Caleb Williams here at number 1, projected to go number 1 overall. Makes sense, obviously well deserved. Marvin Harrison Jr., probably the best wide receiver coming out of this draft class. Obviously the son of the Hall of Fame wide receiver, or at least he's Hall of Fame. I don't know if he's Hall of Fame or not, but the legendary wide receiver Marvin Harrison. We also got Drake May here. We got Brock Bowers out of Georgia. We got Kool-Aid McKinstry out of, I think it's Alabama. I can't quite see it from here. And obviously all these other guys as well. Some of them I'm more familiar with. Some of them I'm really not. But yeah, so there's that. Obviously for this franchise, you really won't have to focus on this top couple of draft picks because we have a low draft pick. I think number somewhere in the high 20s. So unfortunately for this franchise, we will not be focusing on drafting a quarterback. And hopefully we will never need to draft a quarterback as long as we have Josh Allen. So, but it is kind of fun to at least see who is here in the top of this draft class list. Obviously Malik Neighbors, that would be kind of sick to get a wide receiver, especially since we might be losing wide receiver Gabe Davis in this offseason, that we choose not to re-sign him. As well as just getting more guys for our defense. So another cornerback would be great because cornerback Tre'Davious White is getting old, or is getting up there in age. Could never go wrong with improving the offensive line. Edge rushers, we have Von Miller, but unfortunately he's getting kind of up there in age as well. So that is kind of a thing there. But yeah, I mean, honestly, it really doesn't matter a whole lot as of this point. And obviously the scouts are already set and determined because we can't really do that since we started this technically so late. But we'll make the most of what we can with who we have, who we're able to scout and whatnot. And yeah, so we'll do that. But now with that out of the way, what we're going to be doing is obviously I'm going to be simming this advancing this week to the conference championship game. And obviously, like I said, the Super Bowl has been decided in real life. So I will make sure to set those games, force the certain wins that I need to. And then we'll move forward from there. So I'm going to do that real quickly here. Alrighty, so I have now fast forwarded to the Pro Bowl week, which is technically the week we're currently in at the moment. And obviously you can see the Super Bowl has been set. It is the Kansas City Chiefs taking on the San Francisco 49ers. The 49, this is actually a Super Bowl rematch from a couple years ago in Super Bowl 54. Chiefs came out winning that one. Their first Super Bowl win in over 50 years. I think their first Super Bowl appearance as well in over 50 years. It is what it is. Obviously, a lot of people wanted the 49ers and Ravens, or just the Chiefs and Lions. And arguably, I think that would have been probably a much better matchup than what we're going to get in a couple weeks. But again, I mean, I'm not going to really argue it. It kind of unfortunately is what it is, and there's really nothing we can do about it. So yeah, if you want my take on how I feel about the Super Bowl briefly in this video, that's kind of my opinion at the moment. So I don't really care for either team. And whoever wins, I mean, I guess is whoever wins. I mean, I'm kind of edging more for the Niners, but that's just because the Chiefs have been so dominant. It's kind of ridiculous at this point. But then again, that's probably just because that's kind of just the way it is for me at the moment. So, but yeah, obviously we can see here, listed here, we have the Pro Bowl roster, as well as obviously we can't play the Pro Bowl anymore. I did some research on this yesterday as I was, I think, prepping for this video and whatnot, is that you used to be able to, if you don't remember, you used to be able to play the Pro Bowl, but since they changed the format of the Pro Bowl last season to more of like, you know, the Pro Bowl games, so like a ton of like, you know, they'll have flag football, they'll have like other things. I mean, not to say the Pro Bowl wasn't that anyways, but since the Pro Bowl is not an actual, like, technically an actual like game, I guess they decided to finally take that out of Madden. So, which is fine. I mean, you don't want guys getting hurt for whatever reason, which is why I think why they changed it in real life to just flag football. But I just knew for last year, for last game's sake, Madden 23, there was an option there, but I guess it isn't anymore. So you can at least see the guys that make the Pro Bowl, and I guess we can look at that real quickly here. So it looks like, well, I guess we can briefly look at for the AFC side. So Josh Allen obviously will take over for Patrick Mahomes because he made the Super Bowl. Obviously got Lamar Jackson as well and Tua Tagovailoa. In terms of running backs, did not get any for the Bills, unfortunately. James Cook probably should have been in. I don't know why he's not in. That's kind of odd. Fullback, we don't really, unfortunately, our fullback did not get in. We actually do have a fullback. For receivers, got Tyreek Hill, Keenan Allen, Stephon Diggs did make it as wide receiver number 3, Jamar Chase, Devontae Adams, and Michael Pittman Jr. So that's kind of a interesting punch there. For tight ends, we got Evan Ingram, David Njoku, Dalton Kincaid for the 3 tight ends on the AFC side. Offensive lineman, I mean, we got Deion Dawkins made it. That's good. He's one of our left tackle. Mitch Morse made it as a second string center. And Spencer Brown made it as the starting right tackle for the AFC. So that's pretty cool there. What else? Let's see. So right ends, Trey Hendrickson, Myles Garrett, Ed Oliver made it, our defensive tackle, our starting defensive tackle. Other than that, linebackers, Terrell Bernard made it. That's pretty incredible, considering he's kind of one of the younger linebackers and really filling in the hole with the loss of Tremaine Edmonds this past year. So that's good for him. Rasul Douglas made it as cornerback number 1 for obviously Rasul Douglas plays for us. Let's see, I'm not sure who that is. Geno Stone, Kyle Hamilton made it, obviously not getting to the Super Bowl with the Ravens. And Marvin Mims made a kick returner. And Deontay Hardy made it for punt returner he also plays for the Bills. So we had at least a couple Pro Bowlers. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So in total, we had 9 Pro Bowlers make the Pro Bowl, which is, I mean, I guess it's pretty good. Obviously would have liked to see a lot more faces in there, but you can only have so many players, and there's only so many good players in this league to be nominated to the Pro Bowl by, you know, the fans and by the players. So there's that. Not really paying much attention to the NFC side, obviously, because we're not really playing in NFC, but just notable names. You can see them all there. Jared Goff, Jalen Hurts, Dak Prescott, Rashad White made it for the Buccaneers. CeeDee Lamb, Puka Nacua made it. Mike Evans made it. You know, I find it weird he's wide receiver 6, but oh well. Tristan Wirfs made it. Jason Kelsey made the Pro Bowl. Zach Martin made it. Micah Parsons, again, Aiden Hutchinson, well deserved. Daniel Hunter, Kayvon Thibodeau, Deron Bland, and Antoine Winfield, and Brandon Aubrey, and yeah. So really just you guys can always look at those names as well, but I'm not really going to go over them in too depth because obviously the Pro Bowl, like I said earlier, we can't play it, and it really doesn't matter a whole lot unless you're just keeping statistics for your players as they develop and whatnot, and you want to like keep track of how many awards they get. So that's kind of where we're at that point. But yeah, so we're gonna now move on to the next week, which is the Super Bowl week, and like I said, it is going to be in again between the Kansas City Chiefs and the San Francisco 49ers in Las Vegas. So unfortunately, we will not be able to watch it, obviously, because they're not controlling either of those teams, and that's not the focus of this franchise. This franchise focus is all about the Buffalo Bills. So we can obviously see the yearly awards as well. So we'll maybe take a look at that right now. So it looks like Dak Prescott probably won MVP. Unfortunately, even though Josh Allen is right there behind him. So, and Lamar Jackson, who probably will get it likely in real life, is right there at number 3. Jalen Hurts is after him. Surprisingly, Baker Mayfield made it on the list at number 10. I didn't know he was even in the running, but that's actually pretty impressive. And again, a fantastic season from guys like Jordan Love as well as CJ Stroud. An incredible rookie season. For you to be number 7 on the MVP list as a rookie, for those that don't know sports and specifically the NFL, that is very impressive. Moving on over to Coach of the Year, Dan Campbell, obviously well deserved. Brought the Lions. Took at least 3 seasons for them to be just literally a game away from the Super Bowl, to which the Lions have actually never appeared in the Super Bowl in their franchise's entire history. So for him to take a team that just 3 years ago was like 3-13-1 to bring him all the way back to 12-5, a division champion. A division championship since 1993, I believe, as well as obviously a playoff win since that time as well. Very, very well deserved for Dan Campbell, and very happy for the Lions. Yeah, obviously, like I said, well deserved. Obviously, other guys up here: Kyle Shanahan, Mike McCarthy, Nick Sirianni, D'Amico Ryans. Again, a fantastic season from him as a first-year head coach. John Harbaugh as well, a good season from him. Doug Peterson, I'm kind of surprised he's up there. Mike McDaniel. Zach Taylor, again, kind of surprised that he's up there as well. Kevin Stefanski, another good season from him, leading the number 1 defense in the league. Unfortunately, they just couldn't get past the Texans in the first round of the playoffs. But an incredible run for his team as well, in addition to other teams like the Texans and the Lions. And other teams that we basically, nobody I don't think really expected to be, do this well, really. Especially in the postseason, as we predicted at the start of the year. So very impressive for those guys. Moving on to the AFC and AFC individual awards. So Offensive Player of the Year up here, Tyreek Hill looks like he's the first player listed. Josh Allen's number 2. Other guys like Raheem Mostert, Nico Collins had a good year. Travis Etienne. Keenan Allen, Stephon Diggs made it up there. So 2 Bills players made it on Offensive Player of the Year ranking, or at least voting, I guess. So that's cool. Defensive Player of the Year, TJ Watt, well deserved. Khalil Mack's up there as well. Max Crosby, the other Josh Allen on defense. Terrell Bernard made an impressive year from him, coming in as a young linebacker. Bradley Chubb, Kyle Hamilton as well. All these guys really deserve to be up here. So that's that. CJ Stroud getting Rookie of the Year, Offensive Rookie of the Year for the AFC side, which obviously, like I said, that's really well deserved. I think he should get it probably. I think in real life he'll probably get it overall, just because of how incredible of a season he had. Even though he went out for a little bit, but He obviously well deserved it. Rashee Rice is up here as well. Devon A-Chain, Josh Downs, Tyjae Spears, Dalton Kincaid even got up there as well. Jaleel McLaughlin as well for Denver. I'm kind of shocked about that one, as well as Aiden O'Connell, because the Raiders were decent, but yeah, there's that. Defensive Rookie of the Year AFC side, Will Anderson Jr. Other guys I'm really not going to mention. You can look at them all as I scroll over here. Joey Porter Jr. got on here as well. Obviously his dad was a former player for the Steelers, so very impressive and very exciting for him to be playing for his dad's former team. And now we're going to fast forward, kind of fire through these individual awards. The best quarterback, Lamar Jackson. Best running back, Raheem Mostert. Wide receiver, Tyreek Hill. Offensive lineman, Larry Tunzel. Max Crosby on the defensive line. Linebacker, TJ Watt. Defensive back, Geno Stone. And kicker, Kaimi Fairburn. I think that's how you pronounce his name. Harrison Butker's also up there. But yeah, so sorry if I butchered his name, but that is your AFC Individual Player Awards. So now moving on to the NFC Individual Player Awards. So Offensive Player of the Year goes to CeeDee Lamb. Defensive Player is Danielle Hunter. Rookie of the Year, Puka Nacua. Very well deserved. Had an incredible rookie season. Broke 2 rookie records. Honestly, if it wasn't for CJ Stroud's incredible year, bringing the Texans to the playoffs, and really, accelerating their rebuild process, I think Puka Nacua has an easy, another good shot at winning overall Offensive Rookie of the Year as well. Other guys up here that are very impressive. Sam Laporta had an incredible rookie season as a tight end, despite many people thinking he was a reach when Lions drafted him. Or not, actually, no, he wasn't a reach, never mind. It was Jahmyr Gibbs, who's also on here, as well as our linebacker. But those guys overall just played really well, so the Lions ended up making good draft choices. Defensive Rookie of the Year for the AFC side looks like it's Tyreek Stevenson, who I don't know if he really was ever talked about even in real life for an award, but obviously guys like Byron Young, kind of not surprised you're up here. Brian Branch as well. Kobe Turner. Yaya Diaby impressively is up here as well. Devon Witherspoon, Ivan Pace Jr., who was very, very versatile for the Vikings. Jalen Carter, Deontay Banks, Christian Neeson. Again, I didn't want to necessarily go through every name, but there they are. And then firing these awards off really quickly. Best quarterback, Dak Prescott, had the most yards in the league, I believe, or most touchdowns. Best running back, Christian McCaffrey. Again, well deserved. Best wide receiver, CeeDee Lamb. Zach Martin, best offensive lineman. Best defensive lineman, Micah Parsons, so far dominated by the Cowboys, it looks like. Best linebacker, Danielle Hunter. Best DB, Deron Bland, another Cowboy. And best kicker, Brandon Aubrey, another Cowboy as well. But Chase McLaughlin got up there too, so that's very good for a kicker that I don't know if anybody really expected to do as well as he did all year. So there's that. Yeah, so there you have it. All the yearly awards. I didn't necessarily need to go through all those because we only had a couple of them for the Buffalo Bills in particular. But there's that. I guess now we can really look at, kind of just examine this roster a little bit more closely before we hit the Super Bowl. We are in the Super Bowl week, so we can see if there's any development trade upgrades. So looking at this roster, this is interesting. So Josh Allen, unfortunately, looks like he regressed to a superstar development when he had X Factor. That is shocking to me. I did not think that would happen. The guy's only 27, 28 years old. He's only 27 years old. That is shocking that he regressed that much by losing his X Factor. I don't think I've ever seen that happen to him ever in any simulation. Anytime I've played this game in a franchise mode, I don't think I've ever seen that happen. Anyways, enough on that. I'm just kind of shocked, seeing that. Looks like we have Diggs kept his X Factor, so that's kind of interesting there. Osiris Torrance didn't get his depth chart revealed, but that's just because we started late, so it's not going to show. Same with Dalton Kincaid, although I believe both those guys are at least star development, so there you go. Dalton Kincaid's the 6th wide receiver. That's kind of interesting. It doesn't look like there's money. Only thing I can see on here is obviously Josh Allen's regressing, so that makes no sense to me, but there's that. We have other guys on here on the defensive side of the ball. So it looks like Von Miller still here behind Leonard Floyd. I might actually switch that real quickly. As well as Ed Oliver here. I think Ed Oliver, did you go up in depth trait? I think he might have gone up in depth trait. He did. Okay, so he went up in depth trait. So it's not all bad for the Bills team. Just for Josh Allen, unfortunately. But then it looks like Rasul Douglas also went up in dev trait. Now, granted, these might not stay because sometimes they go up in dev or going up in the sometimes the players go up in a development trait during the Super Bowl week, and then they might go back down the next week because of just age and just how the progression of the game works. So there's that. Looks like Terrell Bernard actually got a trait upgrade as well, which is actually very good because if we want to develop him into a stud linebacker, we kind of need that because for those of you that don't know, not to say that these players that just have the normal development, i.e. they're just kind of the brown, they're not necessarily, it's not bad that they have that, it's just they don't develop as quickly as a player that has a superstar development, so yellow, or even an X Factor development, so red. So it's just ideally you want more players that have at least silver or higher if you want to really develop that player. Now, granted, if it's some players that you don't really necessarily care about a whole lot, or like for example offensive linemen, it helps if they have star development, especially if they're younger and they need to develop faster. But if they're older and they're still really good but they only have normal development, I mean, that's still just as good as long as they have a decent overall and they can block for you. That's really all offensive linemen need in this game. But yeah, so I guess there's that. Actually, I'm just realizing now, I think Jordan Poyer regressed because I think he had superstar. Oh no, that's Rasul Douglas. Why did it shift over to Rasul Douglas? I clicked on Jordan Poyer. I swear I did. There we go. Let's check on Jordan Poyer here. All right, I think he did regress. But then again, he is older, so that does make sense to me. But again, I'm still shocked about Josh Allen's regressing. That seems a little harsh to me. Actually, I might even go as far as to even just fix it so he has his X Factor again, because I don't think he even deserved to lose it. Granted, he did throw a decent amount of interceptions this year, like last year, but I mean, I don't know how much I agree with that. So, then again, I could just leave the game to do its thing. He can always earn it back because he's that good of a quarterback. But yeah, I don't know. I'll have to think about that one. Obviously, but like I said, here is our full roster for you guys to look at it here on the roster screen. I have it also pulled up on my spreadsheet that I made for this franchise. But yeah, obviously, like I said, we still have star power on the offensive side of the ball. Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis. I don't know if we'll be keeping him because I think his contract is up this year. Obviously, James Cook is there too. I forgot to mention that. On the defensive side of the ball, we still have Von Miller, unless he decides to retire. Ed Oliver, as well as Rasul Douglas, Greg Rousseau, Terrell Bernard, Micah Hyde, and Jordan Poyer. But we'll have to see what happens in this offseason. But that is our initial roster at the very start of this year. So there's that. So I guess really the next thing to do is to kind of kick off the offseason here by advancing past the Super Bowl to see who wins. And we'll see if this actually is a preview to what's to come in real life. So we'll advance to Super Bowl week, and it looks like the Chiefs win the Super Bowl 24-21. So it looks like it was a decent game, which is very impressive because, I didn't really think that was going to be necessarily a close game. But Patrick Mahomes wins another Super Bowl MVP, a 3-time Super Bowl champ, and there's that. Looking at the early awards on the side, so it looks like overall Dak Prescott, like I said, got MVP. Coach of the Year Dan Campbell, Offensive Player of the Year CeeDee Lamb, Defensive Player TJ Watt. Offensive Rookie, they actually gave it to Nakua, even though it's probably in real life going to go to Stroud. But and then obviously Defensive Rookie of the Year overall goes to Tyreek Stevenson instead of whoever was on the AFC side. So, and I'm kind of shocked because I don't even think Tyreek Stevenson's necessarily in the running for real life soccer and Rookie of the Year. But I mean, hey, you never know, I guess. But So yeah, the Chiefs win the Super Bowl in Las Vegas, and they are now Super Bowl champions once again. So that really, I guess, gives us all the motivation to try and, keep up with them again and try and, get back at them for the heartbreaking loss that we took from them in the playoffs. So there's that. But we also have some retirements as well, as this is staff week. So looks like Kareem Jackson, Case Keenum, Jerry Hughes are going to retire for the Texans. Looks like a tight end is going to retire, as well as Harrison Smith for the Minnesota Vikings, calling it quits after 12 years in Minnesota. Titans had Ryan Tannehill actually decided to retire this time. I don't know if I've seen that recently, but there you go. Steelers, Patrick Peterson retires. Cameron Hayward decides to hang it up. Jason Peters finally retires after 20 years in the league. That is incredible. He actually, I think, was drafted by the Buffalo Bills as a tight end to start off his year, but or start off his career, sorry. But there you go. Jimmy Graham goes back into retirement again, and Demario Davis also does the same, or goes into retirement as well. Looks like Chandler Jones signed with the Packers, but then immediately retired. Because in real life, I think he's still a free agent, but for some reason the Packers signed him. I'm not sure why they did that, but oh well. Looks like Aaron Rodgers decided not to come back to the Jets for at least another year, and decided that'll be the end of his career. It will be in New York after just literally like 20 seconds on the field before he tore his Achilles and whatnot. And also Randall Cobb will be leaving with him as well. So congrats to Aaron Rodgers for an incredible career. And we'll see what he does in real life. I don't think this will be the outcome, but there it is here in Madden. So there's that. Tyrod Taylor also calls it the career, as well as Trent Williams and Calais Campbell. I'm not surprised. Same with Brandon Graham. Justin Pugh as well. Melvin Ingram also retires. Raheem Mostert decides to retire as well. Matt Prater retires. So there you go with that. Kevin Beachum as well. Taylor Lewan decided to sign with the Buccaneers and then retire. That seems a little odd again, because I don't expect him to do that. Marquise Goodwin decides to call it a career after only 11 years in the league. That's interesting. Russell Wilson even decided to retire. That's crazy. I mean, I thought that he was going to at least stay for another season, because he usually doesn't retire this early, but I guess you never know. Anything can happen, I guess. And it does look like, sadly, that Von Miller will be leaving the league, and probably going into the Hall of Fame would be my guess, because of just how dominant of a pass rusher he was. 2-time Super Bowl champion. And unfortunately could not help us get a Super Bowl ring, or help the Bills, sorry, get us a Super Bowl ring. So congrats on a good career to him. Also, Josh Norman also calls it a career there as well. And Mercedes Lewis also decides to retire there for the Bears. So a lot of, familiar faces that are sadly leaving the league, who have been in the league obviously for a long time, 11, really 13 plus years, some of them. So incredible careers for all these guys, and wish them best of luck in their future endeavors. But really, definitely a lot of shakeup in the league. I'll definitely have to say that. But yeah, then I guess, so moving on. So that's our retirement. So I guess we do have some upgrades to players, but it looks like it's only going to be guys that are on the practice squad. So I'm probably just going to, for now, auto upgrade them. And then we'll go from there. And I did just notice something. We have negative cap penalty, or negative salary cap space, which is not ideal. And I actually am just curious. I'm going to look at the lineup one more time to see if guys actually kept their regression traits and whatnot. It looks like Josh Allen did, unfortunately, so that sucks. Like I said, though, I did know that Dalton Kincaid and Osiris Torrance were stars. Looks like Osiris Torrance is a little bit of a low overall, but I guess it is what it is, I guess. And defensively, obviously, we lost Von Miller, so Leonard Floyd is back here, who I think is up for re-sign as well. Ed Oliver got to keep his trait. Rasul Douglas got to keep his trait. And obviously we still have Trey White too, who is still out for a long time. It looks like 24 more weeks. Jeez, that's a long time. But obviously it would be nice to have him back in the lineup. So we'll have hopefully all of our corners and defense healthy again. By the time of the start of next season. So yeah, I guess really the next place to go here is to kind of look at, obviously this is staff week, so we really don't need to necessarily look at any staff changes and whatnot. I mean, I guess if we're curious, we can look at the staff moves. So looks like Broncos fired their defensive coordinator, not surprised. Specifically, a lot of coordinators are fired. Looks like Ron Rivera were fired. That actually makes sense, because he actually was fired, so was Frank Reich. And Bob Bates was fired for the Buccaneers, interestingly. And obviously, it looks like the Panthers head coach was fired they hired a new head coach. Gotcha. So they hired a new head coach. Obviously, in real life, who did they hire in real life? Oh, that's right. They hired Dave Canales, the offensive coordinator for the Buccaneers, which really interesting decision there by the Panthers. But I mean, best of luck to him, I guess. So it looks like we have the mock draft ready to look at here. This is the first mock draft, of course. But it looks like the Bears are projected to go number 1 overall they're projected to go Marvin Harrison, number 1 overall. For some reason, the Cardinals are at number 2 and the Commanders are at number 4, but it should be flipped. I don't know why that's that's that. I may or may not fix that before the next episode if we decided to do draft in the next episode, which I think we might. But Caleb Williams projected to go right now to the Patriots, which would be interesting to say the least, but I don't. If I switch to Commanders and the Cardinals picks, I think that might flip or it might change. So I don't know. We'll see. But looking at all these picks, so Brock Bowers expected to go to the Jets, so they get a really good tight end. Drake May is supposed to fall all the way down to the 17. I don't know why he's supposed to go to the Bengals. Probably because they still have Joe Burrow hurt, but that honestly, that's the part of this game that's not necessarily as realistic, because just because their quarterback is hurt doesn't mean they need to draft a new one when they already have a franchise quarterback in Joe Burrow. So I might have to fix that. Looks like we're projected to go at number 28, and we're projected to go with Graham Barton out of Duke, a left tackle, and who doesn't seem too bad. A, awareness, so that's always a good start. B, impact blocking. B, run block power. B, D, lead block. C, pass block. So again, a guy to keep an eye on, I guess, but not surprised with that, projected pick, but there's obviously other guys we could probably get instead. But yeah, so I mean, that's the mock draft there for you guys to look at. But you do also have to pay more attention to this though, which is that we have to re-sign 23 players, and unfortunately we have negative cap room. So we got guys with major contracts. Well, okay, Greg Rousseau's is an option, which I could easily accept. It's 11 million, but I think it'll be worth it. Gabe Davis will probably have to walk just because we don't have enough money. Damian Harris might have to as well. Geez, this is a lot of good guys. Micah Hyde as well. Let's see, AJ Epinesa. Okay, not necessarily. Okay, and also something I am going to consider too is if the guys don't necessarily want to re-sign, I'm not going to really necessarily pay much attention to them. So all these guys here that have limited to no re-sign interest, I'm not even going to necessarily look at, because I don't want to force money their way that they don't necessarily, if they don't want to play for me in the long run. I think they can find what they're looking for in other teams that actually can afford them. So Leonard Floyd as well doesn't necessarily want to stay. Shaq Lawson either. Daquan Jones kind of is interested. Kyle Allen doesn't necessarily want to. Jordan Phillips does. Latavius Murray is interested. And Linval Joseph is not necessarily interested. But as you can see, that cap space right there prevents us from really signing anybody. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go and restructure some contracts here, because that's really all I can do. And I think the one that's really hurting us the most right now is Josh Allen's, because his cap hit right now is $47.1 million, which is only going to go up. Well, actually, it's only going to go up until his contract is done. But if we restructure, there's a very good chance that we can increase cap space. So cap space after restructure is $9.7 million. So now this does force us to shift the contract down, and that's really the risk of doing a bunch of restructures. But we could even restructure Diggs, I think, as well. I would be more inclined to do Diggs than Josh, just because Diggs is older. But at the same time, I mean, I could probably just do Josh's and just get it over with, because then we'll just have to basically worry about it later down the line. And it will free up like a lot of cap space if we do Josh. How much will it free up if we do Diggs? See, if we do Stephon Diggs, it'll free up 19 or 13.4 million in cap, which is actually a decent amount. For Josh, it would clear, like if we restructure both Diggs and Josh, we would easily get enough cap space to even sign Gabe Davis. But I for sure want to try and keep Micah Hyde. I for sure want to try and keep, I want to accept the option on Greg Rousseau. And really, I guess anybody else, but really those are the main guys I want. We don't necessarily need to get Gabe Davis if we don't want to. But I think if we restructure Josh here, we will get the most for our money. But I think just because of Diggs' age, I think I'm going to shift. I'm going to just do Diggs. Because, yeah, I'll do Diggs. I think this will definitely help us in the long run. So his contract is now restructured. So now he is much less, but it will obviously push it down a lot more. So, but we do have more cap space just because of that. Or at least we should. We have we have 7.75 million now, which is not a whole lot. But hear me out. It is enough for, I think, to re-sign Micah Hyde. I could be wrong. Ooh. That's still very, very tight. I might have to restructure somebody else's. Maybe Josh Allen's. Just because of... You know what? I'm usually one of the more cautious ones when it comes to being, playing GM and whatnot. But I think just because of the way we are right now financially, we might have to restructure Josh's contract. I think, honestly, this will help us. Now, I don't want it to, give us an obscene amount of money. But at the same time, I think it'll be worth it because he is our franchise quarterback. And hopefully, years down the line, when we don't have all these big contracts with aging veterans and our team overall becomes younger, hopefully we'll be able to re-sign him and just make him a Bill for life. But hopefully this series really, at the end of the day, the goal of this series is to bring the Bills their first Super Bowl title. And that's basically it. So whether it takes us a year or a season, 2 seasons, this guy's going to be with our franchise basically the whole time. So as much as I don't want to do it, I think we're going to restructure his contract as well, just so we have a decent amount of cap space. And look at that. We already have a ton more cap space to work with. So I'm going to go in there now. Now we have 30-some million. I am going to look at re-signing. I'm going to accept Greg Rousseau's option. And then we could keep Gabe, but he wants 42 million. I don't think I can afford that, buddy. Micah Hyde wants... I don't know what he wants. I will keep Micah Hyde for another season. At least another season or 2. I don't know. I mean, should we do a player-friendly? I kind of want to do... Actually, here's what we do. We do a neutral offer and increase the year for Micah Hyde. I think this will be a good... He'll accept it. I mean, he likes the Bills. Now, granted, this is not... He has high interest in the team, so the only thing he doesn't like about the team is the big market. It's at least that's one of his motivations listed there. But I think we'll retain him from this, and we will. Okay, so we have Micah Hyde. We have both our safeties. The duo is back, so that's good there. Let's see who else. So Damian Harris. I mean, I think, honestly, as much as I want to keep him as well, I think we might have to move on from him just because we have James Cook and we can easily get another running back cheaper in the offseason, especially even after we draft. So I think what we're going to do is we're just going to do that. So looking at all these other guys here, I'm not really seeing what I like here. So in terms of talent here, let me just quickly pull up my spreadsheet so I can better keep track of this. So it looks like that David Edwards, I was just looking to see if we need to resign him or not. We technically don't because he's only a backup. We do have Connor McGovern, so we could easily draft another guy, so I think I'll let him walk as well. Leonard Floyd, as much as I want him, if he's not even interested in coming back to the team, I'll probably just let him go. Daquan Jones. Now, the other thing is that for defensive tackle, so looking at defensive tackles as a different note, I just realized if we do not sign any of these guys that we have listed here in this re-sign, we would only retain Ed Oliver, who they just extended before this current season. It just is about done. So, and we could easily get younger at D tackle as well. But I think if we want a veteran D tackle, we probably should retain Daquan Jones. He is a mentor player as well, so I don't want to. The only thing is though, I don't want to overpay for him. But I mean, we also have Jordan Phillips as well to consider, who is a little younger, but not by much. In fact, he's actually a little worse as well, but he is cheaper because of that. So, but now is he a mentor though? He's only a bridge player, so he could become a mentor, but I'm not sure about that. And Latavius Murray, okay, as much as I again want to keep him around, we have running back depth, I think. Well, let me see. Actually, if we don't keep, and we're losing almost all of our running backs too from this current offseason, so yikes. Let's see. And Latavius Murray would take a dirt cheap offer too. Definitely an interesting decision to make here in terms of who to re-sign and who to not re-sign. Now, granted, all these guys that are not even interested, I'm not even going to look at because, again, I don't want to pay for guys that don't want to be on the team. Okay, you know, as much as I want to keep Daquan Jones, I actually almost want to be just really conservative here. And this might be too conservative for some of you, but I almost might say this is it on our re-sign and just keep 25 million in cap space, because I think we can easily re-sign half these guys for cheaper if we really want them. Because, like, let's be honest, like Tyler, this guy is probably not going to be re-signed in the offseason or in free agency for as much as like he's asking for. So if we really need a linebacker, we can easily like get him back. And linebacker is actually probably one of our weakest positions at this point because of just how old / young they are. So yeah, it really comes down to just, do I want to at least have 2 D tackles back on the roster that we already had this season? And Daquan Jones will be one of those guys. Okay, I guess after looking at here his stats, so he did have 2.5 sacks, 4 tackles for loss. Not really many tackles for us this year. It looks like he was on the team last season too. You know what? Honestly, because I mean, he would be a good mentor player just in case we get any guys that. And let's see, it would take us down to 15. He wants 9 million for a year. That's the only reason why I'm considering not doing it, because I feel like we can get him for cheaper in free agency. Just because he won't be necessarily sought after, because well, I guess he will be because he's a mentor, but usually because he's 32 and he's normal development, that would make sense that he would not necessarily be sought after. So, honestly, I'm not really too sure at this point. So, you know what? Honestly, just to make things interesting, we're going to offer him what he wants. Yeah, we're going to retain Daquan Jones. Okay. So it leaves us down to 15 million. So unfortunately, I think that might be the only other re-sign we do out of all this bunch here, because there's just too many question marks for what we need and what I want to do with this team. So like I said, Gabe Davis, unfortunately, we can't necessarily afford you now, I don't think. Well, we can, but we'd have no money. And I think we can get a younger wide receiver in the draft. Unfortunately, as much as I want to keep Gabe, he was, you know, a big player in that Chiefs matchup a couple seasons ago where he had that big, huge playoff game. But other than that, I mean, if it's just the money constraints are a little bit too much. Now, we could restructure more guys to try and make him fit, but I think it'll be in our best interest, at least for this time around, to let him go to free agency, look around, and then who knows, we might reunite with him later on down in the or you know in a year or two. We'll see what happened. We'll see what happens. That's the same thing for Damian Harris, Taylor Rapp as well. I mean, he's young. He made a big play for the Bills in a Dolphins game before that gave the Bills a division win. But yeah, honestly, we have our 2 main safeties. I think we can draft another one in the draft or sign another one in free agency. But yeah, I think for now, I think we're just gonna let everybody here walk, and then we'll pick up from there. So yeah, we'll do that. So after our re-signs, we've managed to retain Daquan Jones as well as Greg Rousseau, pick up his 5th-year option, and we also re-signed somebody else too, and I already forget who that was. But we paid him. Oh, Micah Hyde. That's right. We re-signed Micah Hyde for at least another year. Hopefully we can win a Super Bowl for him this year, but we'll see, obviously. But yeah, I guess with that said, I guess we can move on to the free agency, and we'll see what we can do. Obviously, we only have 15 million to spend, so we'll look at the free agency pool, and I guess we can just kind of look here and see what we're up against. So Tyron Smith is the first guy listed here. That's actually interesting. So Trent Brown as well. Looks like Michael Pittman Jr. did not get re-signed by Indianapolis, so he's here. L'Jarius Sneed did not get re-signed by the Chiefs. Huh. So he wins a Super Bowl and then doesn't get re-signed. That's actually interesting. Chidobe Awuzie is here as well. Michael Pierce, Grover Stewart. Bobby Wagner did not retire, so he's still here. Seattle did not re-sign him. That would be a huge... Honestly, that might be a huge pickup just because he's a star development and he's a veteran. He's a mentor. We could use a mentor to upgrade our linebackers more. Actually, you know what? I think we're gonna try and sign him. Not for what he's asking for, but I think what we'll do is we will downgrade this to a We'll do a 2.2, 4.2 bonus. At least we have like 9 million to spend. Actually, might make it a 10 million just total. There we go. We'll offer this for Mr. Bobby Wagner here. I know it's really lowballing him, but I'd rather lowball him than not, you know, do anything on it. So we'll see. He might even accept it. You never know. He actually is interested in playing for the Bills too. See though, looking around here, it's really just nothing but older guys. We could get Devin Singletary back if we want, but I'm not really that interested. Really, our top needs, I think. Oh, Odell's here too. That's crazy. Nobody's offering on him, surprisingly, but I might just wait and see if he goes into actually free agency later on. Then we can maybe re-sign him. You know, well after the draft and whatnot. But we'll see there how that works. So yeah, looking at defensive ends, which is honestly our weakest, another one of our, you know, poorly graded positions. I think Bryce Huff strikes me here as interesting, but that's probably only because he's really good. However, like I said, we have like 140K. So, but even if I'm assuming I offer him a medium risk offer, let's say I offer him a medium risk offer. Am I even a top person on this? No, because Houston's also trying to get him. So, and we can easily draft an edge rusher. I'm not too worried about it. So I'm actually going to take that off. And we might go get something that's, you know, somebody that's a little bit more interested in our team. And maybe that's, you know, cheaper. You know, Julian Okwara strikes me as interesting only because he likes the team, but he's also young. So he could play for us. And he actually only wants a 1-year offer. You know what? I think we're going to leave. We're going to offer him. That's actually a good idea. Okay, so I just looked through all the free agency, and there's really nothing that really speaks, like, you know, like sticks out to me as like we need those guys like right now. We really just need to fill in depth and just kind of look forward to the draft, and that's really what I'm going to primarily focus on, at least for this season. So really, to me, getting a solid linebacker like Bobby Wagner would be huge for our defense. Not only because he's a good player, but because he would be a mentor to our younger linebackers, such as Terrell Bernard and Dorian Williams. And that way they can develop a little bit quicker because they have that mentor presence. And plus, you know, he's a star development player. So that, you know, just helps, I guess. And then on the same time, getting a right end like Julian Okwara, he's obviously not a star development, but he's still 25 years old. He's still miles better than what we have currently if we were just to go into the draft without an edge rusher or a right end. So to get him would be huge as well. So I think really just getting these two guys off the bat here in this first week, I think would be great. So what I'm going to do actually is here, I'm going to go to all players. I'm actually going to hit eval offers. So I think it's left stick if I'm not mistaken. So we'll see here in a moment here if we get them or not. All right, so it looks like we only got Julian Okwara in that first eval offer. And so far, it looks like Bobby Wagner is also being targeted by the Vikings. Ugh. I think now, because we've already decided that we're going to go for Bobby Wagner, I think we might be able to offer that more. But I'm just going to really quickly check and see if there's any other middle linebackers that are still available that would be equal to Bobby Wagner, if not as helpful. Ooh, I just found, actually, arguably, I think I might even have found a better linebacker. Middle linebacker. So now, granted, like I said, Bobby Wagner would be huge because he's a mentor and he would help that. But Isaiah Simmons is just sitting here. And I mean, now granted, could we even afford him if we even tried? We could afford him. We could actually give him what he wanted. But the only question is like, who is also offering on him? Because a solid young linebacker would be crazy for us to get here. And we are the top offer as of right now. So now if we could get both guys, it'd be great. But I don't know if I want to spend all my money on those guys. I think, I think for sure, I think what we're going to do is I think I'm going to withdraw on Bobby. I'm going to go back on him and I'm going to see quickly here if I can offer him a little bit more. Actually, I can't even offer him what he wants because it has to be negative. But let me just lower this to the point where I can afford him. Like not even lowballing him, but like kind of just way less than what he wants. And let me just, maybe even two years help? Kind of. Let me just do a little bit less or roughly to where I was. And let me just see where that's at. Yeah, it's like really low. I don't think that's going to work, Chief. Yeah, I think the Vikings are going to get him. That's unfortunate, but I mean, it's either him or Isaiah Simmons. And I personally, I like that veteran presence. But Isaiah Simmons, that's too much for me to pass up on, I think, at this point in time. So Consider Isaiah Simmons our new middle linebacker, and the best part is he can be moved to free safety. So, you know, to get him for what did he want? 3 years? I don't even know what he offered him, but we'll look at that there. But yeah, so I guess we can go after somebody else as well now, since we're not really focusing on that. L'Jarius Sneed is still here, but I don't think I can afford him because he wants 35 million. Yeah, no sir, I'm not going to be able to afford that, sorry. Okay, so I just went through a little bit more through the free agents just to see if there's anybody I really wanted, and I was kind of looking, if we don't manage to get a decent, I mean, we're still going to draft a wide receiver, but is there somebody out there that's cheaper than Gabe Davis, but yet also like could develop still because he's young, decently young? And I did find Devin Duvernay. I also wanted to find a guy, by the way, that was interested in the team. I could have gone after someone easy, like, you know, or like not easy, but like really fast, because typically what I do is I like to go for speed over like other things for some reason. So like I usually get Quez Watkins every time if he's there, but Quez Watkins actually has like zero interest in this team. So I'm like, well, let's go find a guy that's still decent, but also is interested in this team. And I think I found a guy here, Devin Duvernay. Now, granted, he is 5'11", so he's not very tall, but obviously he's a little faster as well. So hopefully he could be at least good for us. Obviously, that means I can't afford him. And I think, honestly, what we're going to do, I might even... Well, the Ravens are trying to get him back, it looks like. But I almost want to just see if we get either of these guys. And then we'll just have to go from the draft, and we'll just have to do some cuts and restructuring. And that's totally okay with me. I'm okay with totally signing those guys. So I'll hit eval offers again, and then I'll come back to you guys in just a moment when we hopefully have some more guys to hopefully that we've hopefully signed. Okay, so after just my final little look throughs of this free agency class, I just decided, you know, we're going to stick with the guys that we've just signed here. So we managed to get, actually, I think pretty good in terms of just value for what we paid him for, or like, you know, quality over quantity, if you want to say it that, put it that way. But so our free agent signings here, at least this offseason, include Isaiah Simmons, Devin Duvernay, and Julian Okwara. And obviously, like, Okwara was just kind of a, you know, partial depth, partial potentially could start if we don't manage to get a line or a edge rusher in the draft that could replace him, like a rookie that would overtake him. Plus, he'd probably start over that rookie anyways. And then Devin Duvernay, again, just kind of another receiver to have, a little bit of a faster receiver. Obviously, we have Shakir and all those guys, so we have plenty of depth at receiver anyways. And Isaiah Simmons just to get another linebacker in our linebacking core to hopefully help out Terrell Dotson and really just fill the void that Tremaine Edmonds left when he left the Bills last offseason. So we got two star players, one normal dev, all around the same age too. Looks like we have Isaiah Simmons for 3 years, Devin Duvernay for 2, and Julian Okwara for only a year. But honestly, again, like I said, he could be potentially a starter if he breaks out or something, or he could just be a nice depth guy to have, especially when he's younger, and he's still miles better, like I said, than what we would have had if we just went with just whoever we were going to have after we didn't re-sign, after we let our guys go, other guys go into free agency. All right, so I just simmed to the next week, and I actually just realized that we could already see the college pro day and the combine results. So I guess we can maybe briefly take a look at those here. This video has already been going on for a long time, so I don't want to keep you guys too much into this, but just look at some guys here to maybe get with our pick. Obviously, granted, we're going to have a lower pick, so this might not be necessarily the greatest idea to do, but like I said, I want to target a wide receiver. So we're going to look at Mika Ibuka, Xavier Worthy as well, Troy Franklin, just some of the guys there. Obviously, the other top priority for us is edge rusher. So Jared Verse, Shamar Turner, defensive tackle, maybe just because Michael Hall, I guess we'll put him on there. Again, I'm just kind of just going over these guys. I'm not really looking at them right now. We'll look at those more next episode. But I'm just kind of looking through some guys here just to see what we could potentially get. Obviously, linebacker. We're probably going to also target a linebacker in the draft as well. We actually have some of them already completely unlocked. And looks like we have a good guide there at that part of the draft there. And just look at some of these here. I think that is about it. All right, so I've just gone through all of those, and hopefully they should be like we just have those all good there. We have a couple more retirements, it looks like. I don't know who this would be. Oh, Brian Hoyer retires. Okay, that is not necessarily as important as I thought it was going to be, but you know what? It's all right. It's okay. Totally fine. We do have a second mock draft as well to look at here, so we'll look and see what we're... this would technically have been mock draft 5, I think. Actually, I don't know. But, ooh, looks like the Bears got Chop Robinson up there. Oh, it's because the Bears, they signed Michael Pittman in the free agency. So they're not even going for Marvin Harrison anymore. I wonder where he's supposed to fall now. He's supposed to fall to the Raiders. That is crazy. I mean, it'd be great if he could just keep falling, because that would be, you know, that'd be awesome. But, yeah, let's see what we're supposed to get now. And Drake May is supposed to fall to the Buccaneers. That's actually kind of insane. We're supposed to get JT Tui Miolalu. I probably butchered that. I'll look it up after this video. But how good is this guy? Let's see. He's an edge rusher, so he would definitely be something we're going to target. Doesn't look too bad. His jumping is good. His speed is decent. His strength solid. So not as good as I would have liked it to be in terms of what I'm looking for. But the A's and whatnot are nice. So yeah, all this kind of shifted because of the Bears signing guys in free agency. So, and really just since this is after free agency, that's really what happened. So Caleb Williams is actually supposed to fall to the Falcons now. And the Patriots aren't even supposed to take a quarterback, which arguably they probably should. But there you go. So there's that. All right, so now that we're at the end of free agency here, we do have a third mock draft to look at. So obviously these mock drafts are coming in late because of just how late the season was started. But this will technically have been, I think, the last mock draft, so we'll have to see. But then we'll look at free agency recap. So first off, we're going to look at the mock draft, last mock draft. Now Marvin Harrison's actually supposed to go up here, which I was like, I don't know how you don't make that decision already, but there you go. Let's see. So some of the guys, Brock Bowers fell a little bit here. Let's see. Drake May now rose up a little bit. Jaden Daniels supposed to go to the Buccaneers, and we're supposed to get a middle linebacker now. That's actually awesome. I was really hoping this guy was going to fall to us, but we'll see. Jeremiah Trotter Jr. out of Clemson? Yep, Clemson. So not too bad. A, awareness. B, block shedding. B, play rec. Don't have him fully scouted, unfortunately, but seems like a good guy nonetheless. But yeah, we'll just have to look at and see how that goes, obviously, in the draft, which will be next episode. So look out for that. But obviously, ooh, it looks like we have private workouts too. So let's pick out those private workouts real quickly here. So like I said, we're going to go for, let's see. We're going to go for, like I said, we're going to go for Jeremiah Trotter Jr. And we're going to go for, let's see, Shamar Turner. Go Shamar Turner and go Xavier Worthy. Just picking some guys. Obviously, we could have, spent the whole season looking at these guys from the start, but we're kind of limited on time because of just where we started the season, or started the franchise, so that's that. But yeah, quick free agency recap, I guess, before we end this episode here. So Tyron Smith looks like he's heading to Detroit. Jalen Johnson's heading to Denver. Trent Brown's going to Los Angeles. Michael Pittman Jr. is heading to Chicago. The Jarius Sneed finally made a decision, heading to his division rival Denver Broncos finally. Gabe Davis is also heading to Detroit. Chidobe Awuzie heading to New York, or to East Rutherford. Michael Pierce heading to Las Vegas. So is Kyle Duggar. Grover Stewart's going to New England, so we'll now watch out for him. Bobby Wagner's heading to Minnesota. See anybody else notable? Leonard Williams is heading to New England as well, so they boosted their defensive line just like that. Jadeveon Clowney's heading back to Houston, where he was originally drafted. Devin Singletary is heading to Minnesota as well, so there's that. Tyler Boyd is heading to Atlanta. Ryan Neal is heading to Los Angeles, and Odell Beckham is indeed heading to the Jets. So, yay, we'll get to face him twice a year this next upcoming season, assuming he doesn't get hurt. La'el Collins heading to Minnesota. Minnesota made a lot of dents in this free agency class. I'm actually kind of impressed. But, yeah. So with that final free agency recap, that is all that's going to be for this episode. I really do apologize that it was kind of a long one, but I hope you guys enjoy that. I don't know if you guys will like that sort of thing, because this is my first time kind of doing one of these more in-depth kind of videos. It wasn't as in-depth as I was hoping for it to be, but it's also my first type of video like this, so there's that. But hopefully you did enjoy this video, and hopefully you are excited to see where we can take this Bills franchise to hopefully finally get over the hump and finally get this, bring this city a long-awaited and long, earned Lombardi Trophy for Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, and all those guys in Buffalo. Also Sean McDermott as well, because the guy's been doing so much good work with this Bills team over the last couple seasons, and has had him in championship contention for this long. It's mind-boggling that this team has yet to come over the hump and finally win it all. So yeah, that's really all I gotta say for this first episode of this Bills franchise. Hope you guys did enjoy watching. If you did, don't feel free to leave a like and also subscribe as well. And if you know anybody that likes this sort of stuff, feel free to share this video out as well. Helps get the YouTube algorithm going a little bit more. But yeah, I mean, other than that, feel free to also check out my other channels. Links in the description as always. Hopefully to start uploading some more stuff on those soon, but scheduling things and me just being busy in real life might prevent that. So there you go. But yeah, I mean, that's really all I gotta say. So once again, thank you guys all for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and look forward to seeing you back here next time when we hopefully when we do the draft and all that. So that's all I gotta say. So once again, thank you guys for watching, and hope to see you in the next one. Peace.